Bradford City continue their 2025-26 League One campaign with a home clash against Colin Calderwood's at Northampton Town. And in today's video, you're going to find out how both teams have got on so far this season, what my starting 11 would be for this game if I was Graham Alexander. If you do go on to enjoy today's video, then make sure to like, comment and subscribe. But my team Bradford City, we currently sit 4th in the League One table. After 39 matches, we've got 19 wins, 8 draws and 12 defeats. So we've scored 49 goals and also conceded 44. That leaves us on a positive 5 goal difference and 65 points. Our last couple of matches then have been a loss, a draw, a loss, a win and a win. Obviously, it's been quite a while since our last game, and I do think that big break, around 2 weeks, something like that, between the Burton game to the Northampton game is going to be very important because there's a lot of fatigue in those boys. We played like 5 games in 18 days or something crazy like that. We had played a lot of football, so the big long break I think will do the players a lot for, resting them and getting them back for the slight injuries that they might have had, and also the fans as well, who I think was starting to build a little bit of frustration. But now we can go into the final 7 games of the season with a fully fresh and clean mindset. But our last 5 games then, most recently we did have a 2-1 defeat away at Burton. Very good 35 minutes. You might say on 35 minutes Anthony Sarcevic got subbed off. We should have been at least 2, maybe 3-0 up by that point. We end up conceding an incredibly poor goal, one that Sam Walker absolutely has to save. They make it 2 in the second half. Great finish from Shade. We managed to pull one back through at Tyreek Wright, but on the whole, it was just disappointing that we weren't quite clinical enough, and I do think we probably deserved to win based on that first 30 minutes, but you have to be much more clinical. And then after that, we created very little. We also had a 2-0 defeat away at Wigan. Really poor performance, 3 subs at half-time and deservedly beaten in the end. They created very little, especially in that second half, but we were dominating possession. They just sat in, defended incredibly well, and we just simply could not break them down. We also had a 1-1 draw at home to Mansfield. I still feel like now we did deserve to win this game. Their goal, obviously incredibly scrappy. Our goal was a fantastic strike from Tyreek Wright, who was outstanding in the month of March, and hopefully he can continue that into April. We had a couple of other decent half chances, and if either side did deserve to win the game, it was us, but unfortunately we just could not quite get another goal. We also had a 2-0 win away at Port Vale, only our second away win of 2026, and it was a comfortable, deserved victory. Port Vale weren't great, but we did play very well on this day. 33 shots away from home, 13 on target. If this game finishes 10-0 to Bradford City, I genuinely don't think anybody does complain. But again, it does come down to that lack of a clinical nature. We've not scored more than 3 goals in the league all season. I think we've only done it once in all competitions this season, but when was the last time that we actually scored 3 in a league game? I don't think we have done it in 2026, unless there's one anomaly potentially. And we also though had a 2-1 defeat at home to Leyton Orient, despite a dreadful referee on this day. I think his name was Ollie Yates, and I'm pretty sure he's been relegated to referee in League 2 over this weekend because he was absolutely garbage. Never a red card for Baldwin. Look at the amount of yellow cards, and there was only one bad tackle in the game, and that was from Josh Carroll, who should have been sent off for that tackle. But Sars with, I think, his first brace of the season, but going to show how important that he is. And obviously, thankfully, his injury that he picked up away at Burton was only a very, very minor one, and he'll be back available for this weekend. Compared though to Northampton Town, who currently sit 23rd in the League One table, after 39 matches, they've got 9 wins, 8 draws and 22 defeats, the most amount of defeats out of anybody at this level. They've only scored 33 goals so far this campaign, and have also conceded at 56, which leaves them on a minus 23 goal difference, the joint worst goal difference in the division, and only 35 points as well. They're currently 10 points from safety. They do have a game in hand, but their last 5 matches have been a loss, a loss, a loss, a loss, and a draw. I'm pretty sure they sacked Nolan after this game against Wimbledon, and obviously since then they've brought in the new manager and they've picked up 3 more defeats. They're conceding goals for fun, not really scoring goals either, so hopefully Bradford City can get a convincing win in this game. Recently then, they had a 4-1 defeat at home, away to Mansfield Town, who by the looks of things were very good on the day. Lucas Akins getting himself a brace, same with Will Evans, on the only goal being scored up by Cameron McGee, and he's one of very few players at Northampton I think will get a move back into League One next season. But despite Northampton dominating possession and creating a fair few chances for themselves, Mansfield very clinical on the day and did deserve the win. They also had a 2-1 defeat away to Stockport County. Now the scoreline might show a very close game. Again, Cameron McGee capitalising on a mistake I think from Stockport, but we look at the stats from the game and it was total domination from Stockport. Again, Stockport maybe a little bit similar to us in the way that they just weren't quite clinical enough in this one to make the scoreline much more comfortable, like what happened in the Mansfield game. But I think Northampton are probably the worst side in the division at this moment in time. I think there's a bit more belief around Port Vale, even though both sides are obviously going to get relegated this season. And Northampton, they've not really got much to play for because they're not pulling back a 10-point gap with only 7 games left of the campaign. They also had a 2-0 defeat at home to Burton. Very damaging result, especially when this is against a relegation rival. Jake Beasley, a man who Bradford City tried to sign in January, finding himself on the score sheet. And we look at the stats from this game, and again, Northampton have had more possession, but the opposition have created more and did in the end deserve the win. They also had a 1-0 defeat away at Wimbledon. I actually watched this game and it was an absolutely diabolical watch, but I do think in the second half Northampton could have maybe had a couple of goals potentially. First half they created absolutely nothing and Wimbledon did deserve to be ahead, but second half Northampton were the better of the two teams. But unfortunately, just like the majority of this season, they have lacked that clinical edge, and obviously especially with Ethan Wheatley leaving in January to join Bradford City, then I do think they are really lacking goals, although Wheatley didn't really score many at Northampton and obviously still yet to score for Bradford City. And they also had a 1-1 draw at home to Peterborough in their local derby. Obviously last time they picked up a point and it took a derby game for that. The recent 4 results have meant they are going to be playing League 2 football next season. But again, it's not like they've been totally dominated in this game. You look at the last 5 games, it's only really Stockport where they've not really laid a glove on the opposition. So they can create chances. Can Northampton? Obviously, we played them on the second game of the season at their place. We drew 0-0 and again, we should have won that game, just lacking that clinical edge in the final third. I do think a 20-goal season striker is the priority for Bradford City in the summer, regardless of whatever division that we are in, but especially if we are still in League One for next season. Before we do go any further though with today's video, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Can we try and hit 150 likes on today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. Let me know down below your starting 11 for this match. Would you make any changes from last Saturday's defeat against Burton Albion? And also let me know down below your score prediction. In terms of my team then for this game, I would stick with the 3-4-2-1 formation. I think it served us incredibly well at home, and obviously we didn't pick up a win in our last home match, so hopefully now we've had that rest we can have a very energetic, high tempo game and score a lot of goals, create a lot of chances, something similar to the Peterborough game in this one. In goal for me, I would go with Sam Walker. I think that long break between the Burton game and now is the only real reason why I'm sticking with Walker, because I think it's pretty well documented now that I'm not a big fan of Sam Walker. I think we're desperate to improve in that position in the summer, but hopefully that mental break that he's had can get him playing his best football again, because when we end up in the playoffs, which I do think we will do, we cannot afford for Sam Walker to be costing us a goal or two in either of the games, because he's cost us far too many at this moment in time, in my opinion. The Burton game was the final straw for me. If we were playing on that following Tuesday, I would have said Joe Hilton needs to come in, but if we're being realistic, Hilton is also not good enough, and Sam Walker does still have a lot of credit in the bank for Bradford City, and hopefully he can get another clean sheet in this game. In terms of my back three then, at right centre-back, I would go with Matt Pennington. I think we're at that stage of the season now where you just play your best team, and we all kind of know what Bradford City's best team is, and Matt Pennington is certainly part of that for me. I do think on the whole he has been pretty consistent this season. In the middle of my back three, I would go with Aidan Baldwin. Again, it showed how important he is when obviously he got that red card and he did miss 3 matches for Bradford City. We only won one of those, and that was against the team bottom of the table, but those diagonals, his long-range passing is so important to the way that Bradford City do play, and hopefully he does sign a new contract with the club in the summer. And completing my back three then, at left centre-back, I would go with Curtis Till. Again, pretty consistent throughout the majority of this season. Nearly scored an overhead kick in the reverse fixture, and hopefully he can get his first Bradford City goal in this one. In terms of my midfield four then, right wing back, I would go with Josh Northfield. Again, with Northfield, I think I'm kind of repeating myself a little bit now. We are at that stage in the season where you do kind of say the same things. I think on his day can be one of the best players in this division, but when he has a bit of an off day, can look like we're carrying him a little bit at times. I think he needs to get that consistency around like what Tyreek Wright does, where it's rare that Wright is a 9 or a 10 out of 10, which Northfield certainly can produce those type of performances, but when Northfield isn't a 9 or a 10 out of 10, he's normally a 3 or a 2, whereas Tyreek Wright is just a consistent 7 or 8 out of 10 in most weeks. But on his day, Josh Northfield is a very, very good player, and again, I think that rest that we've had for him will only do him very good, especially with the type of explosive player that he is. In terms of my two central midfielders, firstly, I would go with the captain, Max Power. Again, not loads to say about Power. I think he's just been pretty consistent for the majority of this season. Yes, he's had some really bad games. Yes, he's also had some really good games, but on the whole, I do think he has been a consistent 6 out of 10 for the majority of this season. And partnering him, I would go with Jensen Metcalf. I think it's fair to maybe say that over the last month, Metcalf's performance levels had dipped slightly, but I think that's only because he was playing at such a high level. I think since that Stockport game, where for me, I thought at full time he was the best midfielder in the division, I think since then his performance has slightly dipped off a little bit, but again, that could come down to he was literally playing every minute of every game, largely playing as a central midfielder or wing back, our two, I would assume, biggest running positions in the team with the way that we do play. So again, hopefully that rest will now get him back to his very best, and who knows, that man could help us build a new stadium one day. I really think he is that good. And by that, I don't mean he's going to build the entire stadium on his own. I mean, when we sell him, we might be able to... You know what I'm trying to say. Completing my midfield four then, at left wing back, I would go with Tyreek Wright. Like what I was just saying there about Josh Northfield, I think Tyreek Wright is incredibly consistent, a 7 or 8 out of 10 for the majority of this season. I think it's clear to see now that he is definitely a left wing back. His best performances have come from there. In March, he massively stepped up. I think he scored 3 goals in that month as well. Really did contribute towards Bradford City in that month, and I really like what I'm seeing from Tyreek Wright at the moment. Hopefully he can keep it up for the remainder of this season, then we can tie him down to a new contract, and hopefully then, even when he gets his new contract for Bradford City, he then can still kick on and build on his performances and develop and get better and better. In terms of my front three then, firstly, as my right attacking midfielder, I would go with Anthony Sarcevic. Thankfully, his injury away at Burton was only very minor. Alexander's already said that he is back in full training at Fort Bradford City, so again, we all know how important he is to the way that we want to play. As my left attacking midfielder, again, I would go with Bobby Point, and I think them two, especially at Valley Parade, are some of the first names on the team sheet. There's nobody that really comes to the same quality level of a Sarcevic or a Point, and hopefully they can both find themselves on the score sheet once again. And leading the line then at Fort Bradford City, I think at this moment in time, your only real option is Will Swan. I thought it was incredibly harsh that he got subbed off at half-time against Burton. No idea why Alexander decided to do that, because first half we were playing really well, creating loads of chances. Swan comes off at half-time, brings on Wheatley, and then we created very little in the second half. And I'm not saying that's all down to Wheatley or Swan, but I think for me, with the strikers that are available at this moment in time who are ready to start games for Bradford City, I do think Swan is the best option. On the bench then for me, that would leave Joe Hilton, Joe Wright, Ibu Torre, Lee Evans, KAYDEN Jackson, who I know Alexander said might not make it for this weekend, but a little birdie tells me that he will make it for this weekend, so obviously I would have him on the bench. I don't think you can start him having missed the last 6 weeks or so. Also on the bench for me would be Stephen Humphreys and Ethan Wheatley. So the only player definitely unavailable is Nick Powell, the forgotten man. Will he ever play for Bradford City again? Even if he does become fit and available, is he really good enough in terms of the performances that we've seen from Powell to warrant a place on the bench? Not for me, really. One of the worst signings we have made in recent years. Unless he scores the winner at Wembley, then he'll go down as a club legend. So the players who missed out then through selection would be Harrison Ashby, Kieran Kelly, George Lapsley, Louis Sibley, Joe White, and also Paul Mullin. Again, we look back to that January transfer window, it was a very bad one from Bradford City, wasn't it? Our squad is definitely worse. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there then for today's video. If you have enjoyed enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Can we try and hit 150 likes, as I said at the start of today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. Let me know down below your starting 11 for this game. Would you make any changes from our defeat against Burton Albion? And also let me know down below your score prediction for this match. Hopefully we can give Northampton, who are out of form at this moment in time, just 1 point from their last 5 games, a bit of a hiding, put on a great performance, and it's not just a scrappy 1-0 win. But at this stage in the season, 3 points is all that matters. Thank you all for watching though, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you very soon for another one.